for me, the whole thing, seeing what Google Brain did in 2012, and when we acquired DeepMind in 2014, right close to where we are sitting in 2012, Jeff Dean showed the image of when the neural networks could recognize a picture of a cat, right, and identify it. This is the early versions of Brain, right? And so, we all talked about couple decades. I don't think we'll quite get there by 2030. So my sense is it's slightly after that. But I would stress it doesn't matter like what that definition is, because you will have mind-blowing progress on many dimensions. Maybe AI can create videos. We have to figure out as a society, how do we need some system by which we all agree that this is AI generated and we have to disclose it in a certain way, because how do you distinguish reality otherwise?
Yeah, there's so many interesting things you said. So first of all, just looking back at this recent, now feels like distant history with Google Brain. I mean, that was before TensorFlow was made public and open sourced. So the tooling matters too, combined with GitHub ability to share code. Then you have the ideas of attention transformers and the diffusion now. And then there might be a new idea that seems simple in retrospect, but will change everything. And that could be the post-training, the inference time innovations. And I think Shad Cien tweeted that Google is just one great UI from completely winning the AI race, meaning like UI is a huge part of it. Like how that intelligence, I think Logan Kirkpatrick likes to talk about this right now. It's an LLM, but when is it going to become a system where you're talking about shipping systems versus shipping the particular model? Yeah, that matters too. How the system is manifests itself and how it presents itself to the world. That really, really matters.
Oh, hugely so. There are simple UI innovations which have changed the world, right? And I absolutely think so. We will see a lot more progress in the next couple of years. I think AI itself on a self-improving track for UI itself. Like, today
Yes.
we are like constraining the models. The models can't quite express themselves in terms of the UI to people. But that is if you think about it, we've kind of boxed them in that way. But given these models can code, they should be able to write the best interfaces to express their ideas over time, right?
That is an incredible idea. So their API is already open. So you can create a really nice agentic system that continuously improves the way you can be talking to an AI.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is the interface. And then, of course, the incredible multimodal aspect of the interface that Google's been pushing.
These models are natively multimodal. They can easily take content from any format, put it in any format. They can write a good user interface. They probably understand your preferences better than over time. And so all this is like the evolution ahead, right? And so that goes back to where we started the conversation. I think there'll be dramatic evolutions in the years ahead.
Maybe one more kitchen question. This even further ridiculous concept of P-doom. So the philosophically minded folks in the AI community think about the probability that AGI and then ASI might destroy all of human civilization. I would say my P-doom is about 10%. Do you ever think about this kind of long-term threat of ASI? And what would your P-doom be?
Look, I mean, for sure. Look, I've both been very excited about AI, but I've always felt this is a technology, we have to actively think about the risks and work very, very hard to harness it in a way that it all works out well. On the PDOM question, look, it's wouldn't surprise you to say that's probably another micro kitchen conversation that pops up once in a while, right? And given how powerful the technology is, maybe stepping back, when you're running a large organization, if you can kind of align the incentives of the organization, you can achieve pretty much anything, right? Like, if you can get kind of people all marching in towards like a goal in a very focused way, in a mission-driven way, you can pretty much achieve anything. But it's very tough to organize all of humanity that way. But I think if PDOM is actually high, at some point, all of humanity is like aligned in making sure that's not the case, right? And so we'll actually make more progress against it, I think. So the irony is, so there is a self-modulating aspect there. Like, I think if humanity collectively puts their mind to solving a problem, whatever it is, I think we can get there. So because of that, I think I'm optimistic on the P-Doom scenarios, but that doesn't mean I think the underlying risk is actually pretty high. But I have a lot of faith in humanity kind of rising up to meet that moment.
That's really, really well put. I mean, as the threat becomes more concrete and real, humans do really come together and get their shit together. Well, the other thing I think people don't often talk about is probability of doom without AI. So there's all these other ways that humans can destroy themselves, and it's very possible, at least I believe so, that AI will help us become smarter, kinder to each other, more efficient. It'll help more parts of the world flourish where it would be less resource constrained, which is often the source of military conflict and tensions and so on. So we also have to load into that. What's the P doom without AI? With AI, P doom with AI, and P doom without AI, because it's very possible that AI will be the thing that saves us, saves human civilizations from all the other threats.
I agree with you. I think it's insightful. Look, I felt like to make progress on some of the toughest problems would be good to have AI like pair helping you, right? And like so that resonates with me for sure. Yeah.
Quick pause, bathroom break.
Yeah.
No,
Let's do that.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Let's do that.
Possible. I didn't
One
think
day,
it's
my hope
possible
is
to
like,
pull.
can you imagine like the U.S. president, and the Chinese president, being able to do something like Beam with the live meet translation working well? So they're both sitting and talking, make progress a bit more.
Yeah, just for people listening, we took a quick bathroom break, and now we're talking about the demo I did. We'll probably post it somewhere, somehow, maybe here. I got a chance to experience Beam, and it's hard to describe it in words how real it felt with just what is it, 6 cameras. It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's one of the toughest products. If you can't quite describe it to people, even when we show it in slides, etc. Like you don't know what it is. You have
I,
to kind of experience it.
on the world leaders front, on politics, geopolitics, there's something really special. Again, we're studying World War II and how much could have been saved if Chamberlain met Stalin in person. And I sometimes also struggle explaining to people, articulating why I believe meeting in person for world leaders is powerful. It just seems naive to say that, but there's something there in person. And with Beam, I felt that same thing. And then I'm unable to explain. All I kept doing is what like a child does. You look real, you know, and I mean, I don't know if that makes meetings more productive or so on, but it certainly makes them more the same reason you want to show up to work versus remote sometimes, that human connection. I don't know what that is. It's hard to put into words. Um, there's something beautiful about great teams collaborating on a thing that's not captured by the productivity of that team or by whatever on paper. Like some of the most beautiful moments you experience in life is at work. Pursuing a difficult thing together for many months,
Oh,
there's nothing like it.
you're in the trenches, and yeah,
Yeah.
you do form bonds that way for sure.
And to be able to do that like somewhat remotely in that same personal touch, I don't know, that's a deeply fulfilling thing. I know a lot of people, I personally hate meetings because a significant percent of meetings when done poorly don't serve a clear purpose. So, but that's a meeting problem. That's not a communication problem. If you can improve the communication for the meetings that are useful, it's just incredible. So yeah, I was blown away by the great engineering behind it. And then we get to see what impact that has. That's really interesting, but just incredible engineering. Really impressive.
No, it is, and obviously we'll work hard over the years to make it more and more accessible. But yeah, even on a personal front, outside of work meetings, a grandmother who's far away from her grandchild and being able to, have that kind of an interaction, right? All that I think will end up being nothing substitutes being in person. It's not always possible. You could be a soldier deployed, trying to talk to your loved ones. So I think, so that's what inspires us.
When you and I hung out last year and took a walk, I remember, I don't think we talked about.
Subscribe for more videos.